It's November 3rd, 2021, beautiful city of the Villages in Florida. My name is Jong-woo Han. I am the president of Korean War Legacy Foundation, which has more than 1,500 interviews of Korean War veterans, not only from the United States, but also from other 21 countries that participated in the Korean War.
Okay.
We are doing this to preserve your memory because it's been already a long time ago, and honor your service. But most importantly, we are doing this interview to provide teaching materials to our teachers so that when they talk about the Korean War, they can use this interview. Not from the scholarly book, but from the direct witness of yourself and many other Korean War veterans who experienced the Korean War and who knows about Korea. Okay?
Yes.
So we are doing this for the special occasion of 70th anniversary of the breakout of the Korean War, supported by the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs, MPVA. It's a VA office in Korea. It's my great honor and pleasure to meet you, and thank you for coming for the interview. Please introduce yourself. What is your name, sir?
My name is Orville, O-R-V-I-L-L-E, Kenneth, K-E-N-N-E-T-H, Jones, J-O-N-E-S.
That's your last name?
Yes.
And what is your birthday, sir?
September the 1st, 1929.
29.
Yes.
So you born in the year of Great Depression?
Yes, yes.
Where were you born?
Williamsburg, Kentucky.
Harrisburg?
Williamsburg.
Williamsburg. Kentucky.
Yes.
Tell me about your family background when you were growing up, your parents and your siblings.
I had my father and mother, and I had 5 brothers and 3 sisters. And now there's only 3 of us, 4 of us left. 4. So.
What did your father do?
He was he owned a store, a general store, kind of that. And then he was in went to work for a wholesale company. Supposedly he manages a chicken department, but he ended up just a general clerk there for.
Did the Great Depression affect that business?
Oh yes, it was pretty rough time. You know, people were really lot of people stealing chickens, just to survive. So. But
because you were so young, you didn't feel it, right?
No, I didn't know what what the situation was. So.
And when did you graduate high school?
In 1947.
Now you are 92 years old?
Yes.
You look young.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on in this town.
The Villages.
What school was it? High school name?
It was called Williamsburg High School.
And then what did you do?
I enlisted in the Navy right out of high school.
Right away?
Yes.
Why Navy?
Because I had a brother in the Navy, and I wanted to, to be able to travel around. And I actually grew up in the Navy. I was 17 when I joined, so and 21 when I was discharged.
So when you graduated from Williamsburg High School in 1947, did you know anything about Korea?
Yes, quite a few of the people I knew, younger guys, they joined the Army, and they were stationed in Korea. I knew several that were stationed in Korea.
Even before the war, right?
That's before the war,
yeah.
Yes.
So you knew it. Did you learn anything from school? History or geography?
No, I don't think it was ever mentioned in school at that time. Yeah.
So you enlisted Navy, and where did you get the boot camp training?
It was Great Lakes, Illinois.
Mm-hmm. What kind of training did you receive from there?
That was a boot camp. You had general, indoctrination into the Navy, and Navy lingo and things of that type.
Did you learn swimming there?
Pardon?
Did you learn swimming? How to swim?
Oh yes, swimming was a part. I was already a swimmer, so.
Oh, you were already, okay. Yeah. And from there, where did you go?
I was stationed in Jacksonville Naval Air Station. I went to what was called an Aviation Fundamental School.
Mm-hmm. Aviation Fundamental?
Yes.
What is that?
Actually, what we did, we went through all the Navy work. Like they had radio mechanics. So you'd spend a week in each of these specialty.
And signaling, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And from there, where did you go?
Well, from there I selected a orographer school. That's a weather forecaster and so forth.
And
after the orographer school, I was stationed at Point Mugu, California. It's a Navy missile station.
Mm. And did you participate in the Korean War?
Yes.
How? When did you leave Korea? From where?
First, from Point Mugu, I was transferred to a cruiser, USS Toledo.
USS Toledo, yes.
CA-133.
Uh-huh.
And we had a tour of the Far East.
Is it destroyer?
It's a cruiser.
Cruiser.
It's heavy cruiser.
Yep. So can you tell the difference between destroyer and cruiser?
It's the size of the ship and size of the guns that they have. Like a heavy cruiser has 8-inch main guns, and a light cruiser that I was on, Manchester, has 6-inch guns. Mostly that, and the armor protection.
But what about destroyer?
They only have 5-inch, twin 5-inch, and a smaller ship.
So cruiser was bigger.
Yes.
And heavily armed, right?
Yeah. Like the Toledo had 8-inch, 9 8-inch guns.
Yep.
And so what happened? We were over in the Far East, and we came back to the United States. I was on a cruiser Toledo. So when we got back to the United States, the Korean War started. It was in June 1950.
So what happened?
So the Toledo was ordered back to the Far East. And since I only had about 3 months of my enlistment, they sent me to a receiving camp in San Diego to wait for a discharge.
And
then our president made a decision to, I can't think of the word now, to freeze all enlistments. So after that, I was transferred to the USS Manchester. I just missed the chance. Manchester leaving California, left San Francisco. So
what kind of a battleship was it, Manchester?
It was a light cruiser.
Light cruiser.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I flew to Hawaii, and I came aboard the Manchester in Hawaii.
So actually that Manchester took from San Diego and went to Hawaii.
Actually, it came from San Francisco to Hawaii. And as a matter of fact, we flew into San Francisco. We saw it leaving, going through the through the.
So you were not in the ship?
No, I wasn't on the ship. I just missed it. Missed it.
I see.
So I had to wait a couple of days for it to get to Hawaii, and then it flew to Hawaii and picked it up. So, but I was kind of lucky because on their way over there, they had a fire aboard the ship, and they had damage in the fire room, and a couple of guys were killed. So they had to stay in. We had to stay in Hawaii for a month to repair the ship and re-armor for the war.
So from Hawaii you went to Korea?
Yes.
In the Manchester?
On the Manchester, yes.
So that's not small ship?
No, it's we had about 1,400 men aboard our ship.
Mm-hmm. What was your unit? Were you in 7th Fleet?
Task Force 77.
Task Force 77. And what belongs there? What fleet was it?
They had mostly carriers, and they had enough cruisers and destroyers to provide the protection of the carriers. On the most of the bombing in Korea came from Task Force 77, except for the Air Force.
And so, what was your specialty?
I was a weather ship's orographer, forecasting weather and doing other duties as assigned. During general quarters. I was just a messenger. I had to go all about the ship to carry out orders.
So, did actually USS Manchester go to Korean seas there?
Actually, what happened? There's a typhoon Kiza, and as being a weather forecaster, the captain and had a meeting, and they kept asking me where was Kiza going.
Yeah.
I'd tell them, a prediction and so forth. So they decided to go around it. Go. But the next morning, I woke up and it had heavy swells, We're not, and I was told that the captain got orders to report to Korea. That was they were getting ships ready for invasion of Wonsan.
Wonsan?
Yes.
So you went there to Wonsan directly?
Yeah, we went directly. We were off Wonsan on September the 15th.
1950?
1950. I think they went ashore around 5 o'clock in the morning, so we were standing off Wonsan to provide aid if we were needed. So.
What did you do there? Did you bomb?
No, we didn't do anything during the invasion. But the first mission we had was a coordinated airstrike and sea strike, and this was on the west coast, Fankoshi Point, I would think it was. So the way it worked. We went in and shelled the targets for maybe 30 or 40 minutes, and then the Air Force airplanes came over, and they did their bombing there. This is supposed to be some type of transportation or communication place in Korea there, just north of Wonsan.
And that was September 15th, 1950, 5 a.m., right?
That was the invasion
Yeah.
time, I think.
So USS Manchester also bombed the coastal area in North Korea, Wonsan, right? Did you bomb?
We were all the way up to Cheongjin.
Cheongjin.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the day that MacArthur landed in Incheon,
Yeah.
5 a.m.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah. The troops-
So, did you know that your operation in Wonsan, which was the East Sea, Incheon was in the West Sea,
Yes.
and it happened at the same time. So it was like a confusing North Korean people, military, that trying to hide what's going on in Incheon.
Oh. Okay.
Did you understand that?
Yes. Yes.
This is amazing.
A lot of that was done during the war, and like they have mock invasions of the East Coast, some of the cities there in Korea, and try to divert, the
Attentions.
North.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you were that part of operation.
yeah.
Did you have an operation name like Chromite? Incheon landing was Chromite. Operation Chromite.
Yeah, we had I can't think of the name now.
Okay. All right. So.
But that was some time that we didn't go to Wonsan until. Actually, what happened is, the troops after they broke out in Busan and went up to North Korea. Then we thought the war was over. So it was the Chinese kept threatening entering the war, and so President Truman, he didn't want the Taiwan people doing any interfering with the war. So we were sent to Taiwan to watch over the Chinese.
Yep.
So.
So your ship was near to Wonsan, right?
It wasn't in Wonsan.
Yeah, Wonsan.
Yeah, we spent probably 20 or 30, 40 days in
Wonsan, and then you went to Taiwan.
No, we didn't go. We didn't go to the East Coast until after the Chinese came in, and we went there from Taiwan. We went up and we stayed on the East Coast. Matter of fact, we stayed at sea 45 days. The fighting was heavy, and it was, you see the carriers, all the planes coming off the carriers loaded down with the bombs, and they were making 2 or 3 sorties a day to try to stop the Chinese.
Yep.
So we were pretty busy for 45 days. So.
Mm-hmm. What did you do in East side of it?
First we went to Wonsan, and that it was still they were searching for mines there. The minesweepers to clear the harbor of any mines. What they were doing, they were just floating mines. They weren't anchoring the mines, and they could drift into your ship. And so we were there, and there was a place that became very familiar to us. We called it Kalmagak. That was a peninsula at Wonsan.
Mm.
And it was probably in caves there, because we'd get a lot of fire from that point, and we would shell it. You couldn't imagine how anyone could stay alive. So it would stop it for a while, and then after a while, they'd start throwing shells at us to try to stop us, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But we were able to intercept the transportation on the coast. They're coming down. The North Koreans would try to move their supplies at nighttime, so we did a lot of shelling at nighttime. So.
But I want to ask you this. Were there any North Korean enemy battleship in East or West Sea?
No.
No, right?
No, the only thing we suspected that the Russians had their subs there, because our destroyer would get detect something undersea, so they would make a depth charge run at it and try to kill whatever it was.
All right. When did you leave Korea?
In June 1951.
51?
Yes.
So, were there any dangerous occasion where that you and others could have been killed?
Oh yes, when this Kalmagak would open up on us, the shells, you'd see the shells.
You mean the water mines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another. We were going to Japan for R&R, they call it. And as we were going along on the east coast of Korea, they spotted a mine directly ahead.
Whoa.
And we were running at pretty high speed, so they had to make some real fancy maneuvers to keep from hitting that mine. So we almost hit that mine.
Very dangerous.
Yeah. So.
I mean, how long could USS Manchester stay in the sea, in the water? How long? Month? 2 months?
Well, we stayed 45 days.
45.
And that, still, I guess we could have stayed longer. The only thing is the crew gets, you get a lot of short tempers, and you really need a rest because you're going. We'd have general quarters at dawn, 1 hour before dawn, and 1 hour before sunset.
Yeah.
And then we'd stand watches, 4 on and 8 off, I think, something like that. Mm-hmm. So you got pretty sleepy.
Yeah. But did you get the supplies when you were in the sea from other ship?
Yes.
What kind of supplies? Things to eat?
Things to eat, ammunition. Most of the time for ammunition, during the ammunition supply ship up an anchor, and we'd pull up alongside it and load up ammunition.
And tell me about the life inside of the USS Manchester. Where did you sleep? What kind of? It's a kind of what is it? Swing hammock.
They had probably first, second, and third deck was crews. So I was on the first deck down. We had bunks 2 high, 2 sleeping bunks.
Yeah.
In a day, you could lift up the bunks and hook them on a chain and have more room in their living quarters.
You were able to take a shower every day, right?
If you wanted, yeah.
If you wanted.
Yeah.
What about things to eat? What did you eat there? You ate hot meal every day.
Oh yeah. The only thing that you'd eat around 4:30 or 5, and you get pretty hungry around 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and you couldn't find anything to eat. So it's always good to have a good friend worked in the ship's commissary, ship's baker.
I have some other questions. So you had a pretty good life inside it, even though it was very small. Did you have ice cream there?
Yes, you could buy ice cream in what we call a gidonk stand.
So you have to buy it.
Yeah.
How much were you paid at the time?
Oh, yeah, maybe over $100 or something like that.
$100? Over $100 per month?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And Okay.
We weren't allowed to keep any cash. Yeah, we used what we call a script. Yeah.
Script, yes.
Yes.
So what did you do with that money?
Oh, you could spend it when we'd go ashore in Japan or in Taiwan, so forth. So.
Did you send some money back to your family?
Yeah, I tried to save about $50, something like that a month.
You were not married at the time?
No, oh no.
Okay, you were single?
Single, yes.
Absolutely. All right. So, you left Korea in June of 1951. Still war going on there.
Yeah, but it was stalemated. It stalemated when Truman fired MacArthur, and he didn't want to win the war. That was sad. That was the saddest day of the war when he fired MacArthur, and they decided it'd be stalemated. But it was rumored when the Chinese came in, the aircraft carrier Boxer made a speed run all the way back to the United States and back in a record time. And it was rumored they picked up the atomic bombs on that trip back to the United States. And I guess MacArthur had planned maybe to use the bomb. I know there was a lot of planning going on until he was fired.
So you think that U.S. was about to use nuclear bomb at the time?
Yes.
But you're not sure, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure because they would set up a zone along the China border, to make it hot, radioactive, and it'd be pretty dangerous to try to cross. Because when the Chinese came in, the pilots said they started strafing them in the river, and the river actually turned red. It's just unbelievable, massive troops coming across the border.
I see. All right. Have you been back to Korea?
No.
You never landed in Korea, right?
No. We had an invasion of Sando Island that we bombarded, and then the South Korean troops invaded the island. That was the closest I got to land. Our Marines aboard the cruiser, they made they went over to them.
All right. So even though you didn't land in Korea, but you knew that Korea was almost destroyed and miserable. And now, do you know about Korean economy and so on?
Oh yes, I had I worked as an engineer for Raytheon, and there
Raytheon.
Yeah, I met Kim Young, who's from Korea. He had a PhD, and he was an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So we became pretty good friends, and we talk about his life growing up in Korea. They hated the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you think about this legacy of the Korean War? What do you think is the legacy?
Well, biggest thing is that I don't think we would have the trouble with North Korea today if MacArthur had his way. And I don't think the Russians had the atomic bomb at that time developed so they could use it.
They tested successfully in 1950.
1949,
yes.
49,
Yeah.
oh, they did?
Yeah, they tested it, and...
But was it developed to a point where they could actually...
I don't know. We didn't know.
that would be a lot of work to,
Yep. Yep.
to do that.
So,
Quite ready for you. Okay.
all right. So, when you are you proud of to be a Korean War veteran?
Yeah, well, I am, but I'm sorry that Truman made that decision. So I just think what Korea would be today
Yeah.
if they had joined the North and South.
You made a very good point. Very good point. So if Megado was not fired and if he did something that he wanted to do, quite different things would happen in Korean Peninsula. But he might have used nuclear weapons there, right?
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
another dangerous point. Anything you remember but you didn't share with me about this interview and your service in the USS Manchester? Anything you remember but you didn't tell me?
I didn't tell you that we fired 29,000 5- and 6-inch shells into Korea while we were there.
You what?
Fired 29,000.
Wow. Shell.
Yeah, 5.
Mostly in North Korea, right?
Except for
One
that, all was in North Korea.
Yeah.
So, we came down to the 38th parallel, and we supported the battlefield. We do that too.
Where from East Sea or West Sea?
From the East Sea.
East Sea.
We had the troops were advancing up the coast, and they'd call to Manchester and say we got a hot spot, and give them the coordinates of the hot spot, and we would be able to
Hit that target?
target it. And
So it's a long range.
so, we could fire up to 20 miles.
20 miles.
Yeah, and you could tell the GIs really appreciate it. He said, Navy, it's really nice to have you big guns out there helping us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because they could call in a hot spot and get it knocked out and
Yeah.
so forth. But that was the most pleasant. I mean, we're real happy to be able to provide direct support to our troops.
Mm-hmm.
But we would like in Wonsan, there was an airport there, and they had craters in it, and they'd have working parties out trying to repair them, and we would, fire on those working parties to stop it. We had a very good captain. He would, when we'd get fired upon, he wouldn't turn like some of them run. He went directly right to the
Very brave.
right, with their guns going, heavy, firing pretty heavy. Yes. So.
Do you want to go visit Korea?
Yeah, it would be something. It's kind of unbelievable what they've done with their country.
What do you know about the country now?
Oh, I've seen photographs. And it's unbelievable what it was when I was there. Just a lot of empty land. People are very poor. You would see them out in a little boat fishing. We had a interpreter aboard ship. I think his name is Roe again. And I was surprised, when you come aboard, when you see those little boats out, you go up and he could just speak a few words and say they're enemy.
Huh.
I don't know how he could do that.
Uh-huh.
He'd just say a few words, and then he'd say they're enemy, they're North Korea. I couldn't.
So there was a Korean interpreter in the USS Manchester.
Yeah, yes.
Ah.
Thing I didn't mention is quite dangerous. Is a suicide. They tried a suicide raid against us.
Huh?
So
When did it happen?
Probably in March of '51.
Mm-hmm.
But our radar picked up, I think, about 12 small boats. 12 small boats leave the
12?
12 or 15. I'm not sure, but leave the shore, and they headed toward our ship.
Uh-huh.
The captain waited until they got close range, and they opened up with our guns, 5-inch and 40 millimeter, and destroyed all the boats, and all the enemy was killed except one was alive. So they brought him aboard our ship, and they tried to interrogate him, but he never came to. They had a bugler down playing the charge, like you can see the Chinese.
So you were able to prevent it?
Yeah, they were armed with AK-47s. They had hand grenades, and they had grappling hooks that I guess they were going to come up alongside and throw them over and come aboard. If they never got aboard, they could have caused a lot of trouble.
I see.
So,
any other story you remember that you didn't tell me?
As a ship's orographer, one evening around 6:30, I heard, "Okay, Jones, ship's orographer, report to the admiral's office."
What happened?
So what could he want? I kept so I finally went into the office, and I walked in. He said, "Orographer, will the planes fly tomorrow?" I told him, "It'll be a beautiful flying day, sir." And he said, "Thank you," and that was it.
And that's it. Okay.
See, what they would do, if the planes could fly, then they would make bombing missions. But if it was real lousy weather and the planes wouldn't fly, that's when we'd resupply.
But USS, it wasn't the plane there in the USS in Manchester. It's for the aircraft carrier, right?
That was part of our job, yes.
Part of your job to do what?
To protect the carriers.
Carriers, yes.
So we would ride with Task Force 77
Yep.
in a certain position, and that was our job, was to if there's any bombing, any planes fly over and try to attack the carriers.
Mm-hmm.
But the United States was very happy because our pilots had I think it was 36-1 kill against the Russian MiGs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we have a dominant air power
Yeah.
against Russia. All right, Orville, thank you very much for sharing your story.
Okay, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
You gave me very important information about the operation in Wonsan in September 15th of 1950 at 5 a.m. That's a very, very valuable information that I got from you. Okay, so I want to thank you for coming for the interview.
I have a summary of what I can find it here.
What is that picture?
That's our ship there with showing all the shells that were expanded.
Amazing. That's the USS
Manchester, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were there.
Yes.
Okay. Any other picture?
Yeah, that's just showing the guns all smoked up from getting hot. And this tells a summary of what we accomplished with our shells there.
Yeah. Can you read that?
I could. I was just talking about the dairy closing. We 10 months and 76,000 miles later, men of the Manchester could look behind to a record of success their teamwork had made possible. With 29,602 rounds of 6 and 5-inch ammunition expended, the ship's guns had rendered useless miles of railroad track and highway complex. They had destroyed entire areas of transportation facilities, 35 bridges, 2 freight locomotives, 3 freight trains, 165 barracks, warehouses, and other buildings. An estimated 6,815 Red troops had been killed. 5 industrial staging areas destroyed. 1 large staging city over 50% destroyed. And this revealing only a fragment of the experience our men shared will someday be little more than an indefinite memory. So
Excellent.
we had.
Thank you so much for your service.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.